Hassan Taha ho tshwanela hore ke live 24/7.
Yes, on today's show, we meet a girl who went from life support to supporting the lives of others.
Then we meet the amazing Aunt Kim.
She's the one who's married to Uncle Jan.
No, man, you should know what Aunt Kim means. It's the Afrikaans word for germinate. We meet the lead vocalist, Freddie Wessels.
En dan lag ons ook lekker saam met die lighter side of life.
And we have some great CDs to give away from Aunt Kim.
En ook lead singer Oom Freddie.
Oh, give me strength. So what does it take for you to realize that God has a special purpose for your life? For Melodie van Brakel, it took a burst appendix, 2 major operations, and a week on life support.
Melodie believes that God restored her from this life-threatening ordeal for a special reason, to reach out to help destitute people.
5 years later, she and her husband Albertus were instrumental in founding the Cradle of Hope, a ministry focusing on the plight of women and children in desperate need.
In 2003, Melodie van Brakel found herself in hospital with a burst appendix and severe septicemia. Her chances of making it out alive were slim.
Ek was in ICU vir 'n hele ruk en in 'n koma. Dit was regtig vir my uiters traumaties. Ek het daar gelê en gedink dit is net nie moontlik nie. Dit kan nie met my gebeur nie.
Against all odds, Melodie survived, and as she slowly recovered her health, she began questioning why she had been given a second chance at life.
Ek het almal om my totaal gek gemaak want ek wou weet wat is my doel? Hoekom is ek nie dood nie?
4 years later, Melodie was still asking questions. She soon found herself working with children at the Coronation Park squatter camp in Krugersdorp.
Deur met hierdie kinders te werk, het ek toe nou 'n pad begin stap met baie van die mammas, want die mammas bring die kinders na die kleuterskooltjie toe en hulle kom haal dan nou weer die kinders. Die Here het met my begin praat op die manier dat ek besef het dat hierdie vrouens regtig goeie ma's is, maar wat net eenvoudig nie 'n kans het nie.
In March 2008, Melodie believes she found the answer she'd been looking for. She, her husband Albertus, and a group of friends who shared their vision established the Cradle of Hope, a ministry with the aim of uplifting destitute people. A year later, with several outreach and upliftment projects already running, the plight of mothers and children was still close to Melodie's heart.
Ek het toe op die punt gekom wat ek besef het, daar moet 'n plek wees waar stikkende vroue en jong meisies, swanger tieners dalk, na heentoe kan gaan waar hulle 'n bietjie gekoester kan word en waar 'n mens vir hulle kan leer om na hulle self te kyk en na hulle kinders te kyk.
She knew it was time to take a big step in faith.
Dit het toe nou veroorsaak dat ons in groot geloof verlede jaar hierdie enorme huis in Kreersopwes gekoop het. Dit is the Cradle of Hope, House of Restoration.
At this house, Melodie and a team of volunteers take in women of all ages and their children.
Ons probeer om te identifiseer dat die vrouens gehelp wil word en gehelp kan word. En ons glo daaraan elkeen verdien 'n kans. Ons gee hulle 'n make-over, ons laat hulle hare mooi maak en dan voel hulle klaar baie beter. En dan het ons 'n life coach wat vir hulle lewensafrigting gee. Ons het vir pastoor Jake Subert wat die geestelike deel van die huis hanteer.
She believes that it is here that these women, many of whom have been rejected by those around them and have lost hope, will find a second chance at life.
Dis ons doel om hierdie mammas en jong meisies te vat, deur hulle seer te werk en om hulle dan iets te leer, weer sterre in hulle oë te sit, sodat hulle weer op 'n stadium kan teruggaan in die samelewing in met 'n werk en dan waar hulle weer vir hulle self en hulle kinders sal kan sorg.
Everyone here has a different story to tell. Some have been abandoned, some abused, and some, like Michelle, have come here after hitting the lowest point in their lives. Michelle is an ex-heroin addict who had turned to prostitution to support her habit. She believes that she hit her lowest point awaiting trial in Pollsmoor prison.
You have to surrender, you're desperate, and in the end you turn to God because He's the only one who can help you.
Michelle's case was dropped, but her husband insisted she get out of Cape Town. She came to Johannesburg with her daughter, and through a chance meeting, found out about the Cradle of Hope.
I was staying with my dad, and we used to take Daniela to see the ducks at Broad Acres. And And my dad was talking about getting the social welfare in, and I was fighting it because I didn't want to lose my child. And then I met these guys that bring us donations from Woolworths, and they were making balloons. Out of balloons, they were making shapes and teddy bears and so on. And I gave him R5, and I told him the situation. Something in me just opened up towards this guy. And he told me about the Cradle of Hope.
Michelle was determined to keep her daughter and applied for a place at the Cradle of Hope.
And then I started bugging Melodie. I irritated her because she was on holiday and I was desperate.
Toe ons met haar die onderhoud gedoen het om te kyk of ons haar kan help of nie, het ons gedink sy is of baie genuine of baie slim. Ons het besluit om haar 'n kans te gee.
It was at the point where my father was going to take my child away, okay? And there aren't places like this where a mom can go with her child when you're destitute. We came here and I didn't lose my child. And there's no ways I can lose her now, unless I mess up badly.
Michelle has spent 3 months at the Cradle of Hope and will be one of the first women to leave here. She believes that through the support and love she found at the Cradle of Hope, she can go out and face the world again. But she also believes that it is only through God that she has been able to overcome her past and live a whole new, abundant life.
This is a house of restoration, and that's what happens here. I was restored from a life on the street as a prostitute doing drugs to a mom, a wife, a proper daughter, and someone who's got a calling. I realized God has a purpose for me. God is the one who untangled my life that I tangled. And if it wasn't for God, I wouldn't be where I am.
For Melodie van Brakel and her team at the Cradle of Hope's House of Restoration, the work is hard and often heartbreaking. But with all the difficulties, also comes the reward of seeing people like Michelle turn their lives around and find their purpose.
Dis absoluut my roeping. Dis my skepingsdoel. Ja, dit is compassion vir hierdie mense en om hulle te help, om hulle self te help. Hy maak 'n verskil in iemand anders se lewe. Jy gee hom hoop.